Hi everyone, welcome to Twisted Dye Kitchen episode 7. It's going to be a real short one. It's going to have primarily knitting. My husband and I went on a 2-week vacation to the West Coast looking for cacti. We found it in the Joshua National Park. We also went to Lone Park, which we found the Alabama Hills, which was amazing. How many different rock shapes can you get? Let me tell you, in the West, you can get all kinds. We also went to Death Valley. Amazing. So many different terrains. It was just spectacular. You had the sands, you had the sand dunes, you had the bad water area, which was 254 feet below sea level. I think that's what it was. I could be wrong on the how many feet, but it was low. Just all different type of landscape and terrain. We had so much fun there. It was crowded, but everybody wore their masks when they were walking around, and really, in essence, there wasn't that many people based on the time of year. So it was really a fun excursion, a fun travel vacation. That's some of the footage that you saw at the beginning of this little episode. If you are looking for me, I am on Instagram, Facebook, and Ravelry, known as Twisted Dye Kitchen. And please reach out to me at any time if you have any questions regarding my rug hooking, my spinning, whether it's on the wheel or my support spindle. And knitting, I wouldn't trust my judgment on that. There's a lot more people out there that are better than me. So let's get on with the knitting and I'll show you what I've got going on. See ya. I'm back. So as you're aware, I joined Angie from Yarn and Yarns podcast to join in on her fun with her 12 casts on. My 12 casts on included my mittens. I have a pouch for my spinning wheel, a throw for my couch in the living room, and a sweater. So I'm going to show you a little bit of each and the progress that I've had. My mittens are done. How fun is that? They have a wonderful braid design on the front, which I just really, really enjoyed. I'm going to try them on for you. So I actually got a pair, and I have not washed these yet since I just got back. But there they are. Oh, they're just perfect. I love the coloring of this. This is organically dyed by a company in Maine, and I'll provide that information below. And I believe that I talked about this yarn before in my episode 5. So hopefully you'll be able to see the information about that. But I love how it feels, the texture of the yarn, the shape of the mitten itself was a great easy pattern, and the pattern was called St. Anthony Cable Mittens, and this is by Hayden, and I know I will not say her name correctly, her last name. It's SARFEHJOO. Very easy pattern, only required 130 yards of the bulky weight yarn. So if you have any bulky weight or kind of fun art yarn, this might be an easy project for you to knit. I also have one skein of this left, and I'm going to try to see if I can find Unravelry a hat pattern that I can use the remaining, and then that way I'll have a set. But very easy knit, very easy cable pattern. I would highly recommend it. My next is in my fringe supply bag. What was so special about this bag, I don't know if you can see this. On this bag, I have my collection of National Park pins. Hopefully I'll be able to do both sides of this bag. It's just kind of fun. So in this, I have my orange throw, which is called, I think it's called high texture. It's called Hourglass Throw. It's considered a high textured cabled and lace pattern. And I'll show you the yarn that I have, or the yarn that I'm knitting with, is from Knit Picks. But there's some of my repeats. Let's see if I can get that. So you can kind of see I'm getting a little bit of the cable going. And even in the bordered edge, I'm not sure if you can see that. Now you can see the little cable right there. And then in this area is the lace portion. As I mentioned before, I made this for my mother, and she just really loved it and loved the fact that it was all wool, so she could be nice and comfortable in her home. It was the area where she sat all the time to watch TV. It was really cold all the time. So, but she wore it literally out, so I couldn't capture that. The other is my sweater that I didn't want to do much of this sweater while we were on our trip. I wanted to make sure that I really had an area to stay focused and to have quiet around, and there was just too much to look at and too much to do. But this is called the Sunday Cardigan. It's a petite knit pattern, and the yarn that I purchased is this beautiful royal blue, very soft, bulky yarn. And I got through the neckline, and the neckline in her pattern, here's the neckline. It's a real pretty, just a simple rib. But this pattern requires, and this is new to me, where you turn it over and you sew it down so that it'll able to stick up and have a nice collar to it, ribbed collar. The other thing that I noticed that I really liked about this pattern, and I'll try to use this more often, this technique, but she indicated the first 7 stitches on either side to knit them really tight, and then that way it'll give a very nice finish along this edge and have it very nice and straight. So this is called Brava by Knit Picks, and it's a bulky weight, and it looks like it's 136 yards, 100 gram. Unfortunately, because I liked the color so much, it is not wool. So, but I'm okay with that. I can live with that. It was my choice, and it shows that if you don't pay attention to what you order, you're going to get something that you may either regret or just say, I'm going to go with it. and that's what I'm going to do. I have this in my Sandy by the Lakeside bag. She had this several years ago, and for the trip I thought it was perfect size for it since I was just doing the band on the top. And then my little pouch, excuse me. My pouch is sitting on my Ashford Traditional. And this little pouch is so cute. I had so much fun knitting this and then felting it. And it has, and this is because you felt it, you make the shape as it's wet, and then you let it sit to dry, and it forms that shape. So what I'm going to have is my tool that I made for my Ashford Traditional. Excuse me, it's right here. Whoops. Oops. So here's my little tool that I made. It's my little crystal, and I had some copper wire that I'm going to go ahead and possibly redo because it's very squishy. Copper's a very soft metal. So, but that allows me to pull out the fiber out of the orifice. So that will go in here, and then I won't have to search for it all the time. I think this little pouch is so cute. I'm going to go ahead and have my thickness gauge for spinning so that I can have that in here. Keep tabs on how I'm spinning and how thick I want, so that if I'm plying, I can make sure that the ply will be the thickness that I desire. So excuse me again. So I showed you the two finished, which were my mittens and my little pouch, and then the start of my cardigan, which is my sweater. And then I have my throw, which I worked on in the car. That also was difficult. I actually worked on it in the hotel room when we got back from our excursions. You just have to pay attention because there's so many cables. And I learned from the first time that I knit with this pattern, you really have to have a lot of stitch markers, because if I'm not mistaken, each repeat is 18 stitches. Excuse me. So you'll know if you made a mistake with your count, that it's in that section or the section before or after. So it's easy to catch your mistakes. So while I was on the road and something easy, I did take my Koiva, Koiva, from Caitlin Hunter, and here's the pattern, if you can see that. I know that a lot of people talked about just having the design up here across the yoke, and some people that I've watched on different YouTube channels either altered the sleeve or altered the text, not having texture in here. I'm not sure yet. I may just keep it the way that it is because I really like the overall design and the overall effect. And I'm dropping some stitches, so I gotta make sure I'm okay with this. My cable needle is not the largest for this pattern, so when I put it to rest, they tend to migrate off the needles. But so I'm going to try to show you this without dropping any stitches. So I've gotten pretty far on this sweater. So this is the neck, and this is the lower portion. Now the yarn is Brooklyn Tweed, and it's called Cinnabar, so it's an orange, obviously. But the the speckled yarn or the dotted yarn, colored yarn, is something that I did in my dye studio. And I'm really actually having a lot of fun with this. Um, at first, I was like, okay, how and where am I going to put this yarn? Because by itself, it's not, to me, it's not that attractive. And this is a pretty good representation. The light source is really providing an accurate reading of this colorway. But it has mint greens, deep burgundies, some little specks of orange, and then obviously some turquoise colors. Um, but I really have fun with this, and I'm glad that I was able to choose something that I created and use up the yarn. It's a worsted weight yarn, and it was pretty much the same thickness as this Cinnabar from Brooklyn Tweed. And this is a beautiful, beautiful, soft, spongy type yarn. I really, really enjoy knitting with this. So that's all I have right now. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this short little portion of my normal YouTube videos. Hopefully by next week, I'm going to have some rug hooking, and I'm going to have some of my spinning. I've put together some of my patterns for the Acadia National Park for people who would like to have a challenge in a 16 by 20 format. And I want to call them mats instead of rugs because they are smaller in size. They're running about a 16 by 20. But the patterns are very involved and very intricate. And if you're a rug hooker and you are up for a challenge, primarily the image or the imagery is nature. Please give me a holler or comment below, because I think you'll be really, really intrigued on how to look at these patterns and designs and see how to make the textures work in a 16 by 20 without changing the size of your cut. So until next time, thank you for sitting and enjoying your time, hopefully with me. Please comment below if you have any questions. You can reach out to me on Instagram, which is where I primarily reside, and check my messages quite often. It's Twisted Dye Kitchen, DYEKITCHEN. And until then, enjoy.